So I'm going to try to do more of these rather informative videos on YouTube. Obviously, if you follow me on Instagram and TikTok, I guess, you'll see that I've been trying to put out more informative and educational content for the best part of 6 months. But now that I'm doing a big rebrand with my coaching service or services, I'm trying to be a bit more specific in what I put out and just overall put out more content and better content. So that's why I'm finally getting to these types of videos on YouTube. Anyway, so the first video, this is a video I've wanted to do for a good while now, is how I first got into bodybuilding and how I first started using steroids. So the first time I competed, I was 16. Completely natural, and I'd be lifting weights in my room with very, very shitty little dumbbells for the best part of 2 years, or rather a year, and then joined a gym. Started going to a gym for a good solid year, joined a bodybuilding gym, seen the guys that are competing from the gym and owned the gym, were competing, kind of asked about it, that sounded like fun. I kind of asked how I would get into it and if I would be big enough, and they're like, compete this year because you'll learn a lot. You'll learn a lot about the process, what's required of you, what it's like to diet, what it's like to be on stage, everything really. You'll understand everything that will thus be required of you later down the line. So then if you want to continue with this and actually take it further, you kind of have all those in your pocket to kind of go forward, and that was kind of the plan. So did I think it was like a 10-week prep, and the diet was like, I didn't have a diet prior, so like it's the first time I'd ever been given a diet, and I'm pretty sure it was like a sachet of oats in the morning, which is 30 grams of oats, and a scoop of protein, and a banana, and then it was like one fillet of turkey or chicken with either a whole baked potato or 6 rice cakes, and then it was that meal was basically the main meal. So I'd have that for meal 2, which I would have between periods 2 and 3 at school, so my break, and then it would be the same meal at lunch, and then I'd have a similar meal prior to training, which would be when I would be walking from school to the gym, because again this is when I was in high school. And I'd like to have a banana again. Again, this is like 10 years ago now. I'd train. After training, I'd have a protein shake, and I'd go home and I would often have some form of steak or mince, and like rice. It wasn't a lot though. So like if I was to tally up the macros and the calories of what I was eating, I wouldn't be surprised if I was having like around about 120 grams of carbs. I didn't do cheat meals or refeeds or anything. It was just diet right down. I'll post a photo here. Diet right down, get in shape, and that was the kind of thing. And this is like right on the cusp of when Instagram became a thing. I think Instagram became live as of 2012. So the social media side of bodybuilding hadn't really started yet. I mean, I had Instagram, but I just post like freaking clickbaity, sus looking photos, considering it's 15, 16. They'd often just be like in the mirror with Mode iPod Touch, and you'd see like this, and I'd have my boxers and my shorts really low down so you could see my V and often my pubes, because I thought that was cool, I guess. So yeah, so that was my first kind of like entry, or rather experience with bodybuilding, and I fucking loved it. When I was growing up, I went through phases of being interested in everything: football, basketball, rugby, mountain biking, skateboarding, playing guitar, and nothing ever stuck. I would often go on almost like a rotation. I'd do something for 3 to 4 months, get bored of it, and then change. And I think that lifting weights, when my mum got me a set of dumbbells for my 14th, I would have been 13, so it would have been like Christmas, so I would have been turning 14. That was the first time I'd stuck to anything for longer than 4 months, 5 months. And then because of that, when I started going to the gym, I didn't think of it as such as like a hobby. I just thought it was something I'm doing. And then once I got into like a year on, and then the local gym I'd been going to got a refurbishment and it was crap. All the favourite machines I liked using were gone. So then I joined the local bodybuilding gym, which opened up at the same time of this refurb. And I was like, oh, this is actually something people do. This is a hobby. This isn't just kind of like something I'm doing in the background. This is like playing rugby. This is like playing football. This is like playing the guitar. This can be something I'm doing, a hobby, an activity, as you were. So it was very much the first thing I stuck to, and because of that, because I realised that everything was down to myself, and that there's no skill in bodybuilding. The skill is being able to do it. But like doing a barbell squat isn't hard. Everyone can do that. Doing a bench press isn't hard. Everyone can do that. And considering when I was never very good at football, it's kind of like always average, but I didn't have the passion or like the want to take it far enough for me to realise what I could do with it. And the same with football. The same with rugby. And then like mountain biking and skateboarding and things like that. It was the same thing. I'd get to a point where the skill would be my limit, and I wouldn't have the patience or the determination or the dedication to said sport activity to then get me to the point I wanted to be. Whereas with bodybuilding, that wasn't the case. It was more just like that. As long as I keep doing this, as long as I don't give up, I'll get to where I want to get to. And I never realised I would get to the point I'm at now. Never mind. 5 years ago. So very much. So by the time I was 17, I'd competed twice. I'd competed in at the time it was the Muscle XS Classic, which was in not Glenrothes. Begins with an S. Place in Scotland. Begins with an L. What is the name? Anyway, it was the Muscle XS Lochgelly. That's it. It was Muscle XS in Lochgelly. I think now it's the IFBA show, and then I did the NABBA Scotland the week after, in Glenrothes. Loved it. Loved everything about it. Loved the preparation to get to the stage. Loved training. Training got harder, so enjoyed that. There was that little voice in my head being like, I'm doing something that none of my friends can do. And then just in general being on stage, like I liked that the attention I got wasn't specifically on me, on how I am. It was like this persona I could give out and pretend to be this uber confident person. And then after that, kind of like spoke to the guys that owned the gym, ran the gym, being like, right, what is bodybuilding? Explain all this to me. What's pro bodybuilding? Because at the time I'd known of like Phil Heath and Kai Green, but in terms of how to get there and the performance and the drug side was very naive. I genuinely thought when I was this age that Phil Heath and Kai Green had only maybe used a little bit of D-bol. That they definitely weren't using human growth hormone, didn't really know what human growth hormone was, didn't realise what tren was or testosterone was or anything. The guys that like ran the gym and got me into bodybuilding essentially, basically like kind of drew back the curtain, was like, this is what it is. This is bodybuilding. It is what it is. You either accept it and accept that that's part of your goals and you still go after it, or you don't. And I was like, but this is, in my head, it was like, this is something I could really do. I enjoy training, I enjoy pushing myself, I enjoyed every aspect of it, and it was like, I hated the fact that, and I still do, I hate the fact that something a dream I have to take steroids for. I have to fucking inject needles in my body to achieve a certain goal. It drives me fucking nuts. I hate it. But it's part of the sport. And that's essentially how I got into bodybuilding. So like, it was another 6 months, the guys at the gym told me, and essentially they were like, right, if you want to do this, we're not helping you unless you show us proper commitment to training, to your diet, and really grow. And I did just that. It was the most I grew in a good while. I think I stood on stage at the Scottish, 62 kilo, and then within 12 weeks I was just shy of 70, and then I kind of hovered around that weight but just kind of got tighter, and I'll cover that more in detail in another video, but kind of showed the guys at the gym my level of dedication, and then eventually started on steroids. I was still in high school, embarrassingly. I get quite... It's not that I don't want to talk about it because steroids are a controversial subject. It's more I don't want to talk about it because how young I was is very embarrassing. Because I judge people, and I think kids are stupid if they start steroids at the same age I did. So yeah, I started using stuff at 17, 4 or 5 months shy of turning 18. First cycle was D-ball, 6 weeks, blew up, got really fucking big, got really bloated, and then lost all of it in like the space of a week. I think my strength went fucking sky high from my age. I was able to there wasn't nothing would have been good form, but I think I was like squatting 180, using the full stack on the lat pull down, stacking out the leg press, thinking I'm huge, and then like literally 2 weeks later, I lost it all. And then started on, I think it was like a month and a half after that, I started on an actual cycle, which was 1 mil of test and 1 mil of masteron. So I think it would have been about 350 milligrams total, which again isn't a lot. But I was 17. And I did that for 12 weeks. And I did a PCT, and then I'd done one more cycle prior to turning 18, which was another test and mast cycle. But yeah, put good gains on. I do believe that if not only my knowledge but my attitude to training and nutrition was what it is now, I would have gotten not only more out of the cycles, but a lot more out of my training. My training was very, very high volume, and with me, I've always struggled to gain weight. I've always struggled. My struggle within bodybuilding is putting on muscle tissue. With high volume training, I find it keeps me lean. Like my activity level then gets too high, and I just struggle to consume enough, not only to recover but to gain weight. Obviously I didn't know this at the time. So it's just like more sets, more reps, more drop sets, supersets, fucking all the intensifiers. But then I wouldn't be deep into a surplus to accommodate for the recovery and the calories being burnt. So I still gained muscle. I was still big for my age, and strong for my age. But yeah, could have definitely gotten a lot more out of it. So yeah, like my essentially my first introduction to steroids was a D-ball cycle, then a test and mass cycle. I don't regret it, because it has put me ahead of some other people I've competed against, especially when I was a junior. But definitely reinforced my knowledge of training and nutrition. So yeah, and this is no way me advising anyone at that age to use steroids, because it's fucking stupid. Like, you can get so much more out of like just monitoring your sleep, having a good routine, getting your nutrition in, training hard, having a good training setup, like everything else. And that's why I always laugh when I have these conversations. People kind of look at me like, fuck off, what do you know? I'm like, I do know, because I was that twat that was using gear and could be making so much more progress if he just tightened everything else up. So yeah, very much been there, done it, got the t-shirt.